so people who are in environments that don't give them joy, how can they navigate that?
Find those little moments that brings joy. And also,
what do some of these goddesses have to say about confidence and building confidence? How can we build confidence working with the divine feminine?
You just adapt. So it's like 5 minutes on a beach and you're like, give me the smallest song you have, I want that too.
You talk about how you work with Aphrodite a lot. She is like the goddess of beauty and love and abundance. How can more women embody that energy?
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for that question. Also, I want to say what you just shared was also powerful.
How can we start to lean into that feeling of I can be grounded, I can be safe as a woman here on earth?
Yeah, I love that you're sharing that. And I think it's more of a common experience.
He is tapped into his intuition. Yeah, he'll use his logic when, he's called to do that. But he still has this aspect of himself that where he is relying on his intuition, and you're not relying on it, but at least in tune with his intuition. Okay, thank you so much for that, because yeah, like I said, like I don't know what it is, but I just feel like, the YouTube videos that we be seeing when we have our awakenings, they don't talk about these aspects that we end up experiencing, in this journey. And it's so important to recognize that too. That's one of the things I've been coming into relationship with, epiphanies with, is that it's like we're like, okay, well, like I said, we talked about this, maybe I think it was before the show, maybe it was the beginning of the show, but we go on this journey to, like, or at least I did. I went on this journey, I think it was before the show, to follow my heart, right? That was the whole point of me traveling. Not the point, but it was one of the intentions that I set as I was traveling around the world. I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to do this. And, it wasn't, I had linked, my brain or my ego had linked, like, okay, I'm following my heart, so I'm going to experience success, or I'm going to experience success in this specific way because I followed my heart. It's just like, this is, God is going to reward me for this in this specific way. And you're right. You have to realize that the true goal is, whatever your intention was when you came here, which I think for most people, it's going to be to experience love, and it's going to be in different ways, right? There's so many layers to this. You can look into your astrology. There's so many ways you can figure out what your soul contract was exactly, right? But at the end of the day, yes, I think for a lot of us, it was to experience more love. And really, it was to experience more love for ourselves, right? And so it always comes back to us. And so I love that once you see it in that perspective, you're like, oh, do I love myself more? Yeah, because I messed up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times following my heart. But I still love myself. I'm still here. I'm still, in awe of what I did and what I accomplished in that time, even though I may have messed up in these ways. So thank you so much for talking about that. Because, a lot of people, and again, a lot of women, we go on this journey of following our heart. One thing that we are doing is kind of healing the wounded divine feminine. Hey, y'all, did your vibration get a serious boost from this week's podcast? I know mine did. And I'm willing to bet there's a whole community that also feels the same way. Wait, actually, there is a whole community. That's right. On Facebook, we now have the Transformation to Expansion community, where we actually have weekly discussions about the podcast episodes, and we even try out the freebies all together as a community to help us stay accountable. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below, and I'll see y'all there. Peace. What does the wounded divine feminine look like?
Yeah, I love that. That was beautiful. And I can so relate that thing about following the heart and seeing, but also years later see how that actually became the most treasured wisdom that you shared with so many others about how moving through that cycle. And I can say that the time where the goddesses came into my life was when I had just went through this very dense cycle, very, very dense experience, and the wounded feminine fits perfectly in with that, because there's a lot of shame and judgment around following the intuition, about navigating this way, but also about receiving. And at that time, I could not receive. It was so difficult for me to receive anything, help, money, anything that was really love, like anything that came towards me. I had just moved from that like science world. Now I was working with my spiritual work, but they came in and they started to show me what it was all about. But the energy that receives is the feminine frequency. And if that's not switched on, you cannot receive, you're not able to receive. And then the thing about driving me into this dense place, I was awakened, so I knew I had created myself, which was really an advantage. So I could say, oh, I'm a master, I can create this. What else can I create? But the thing they showed me was, this is because you're not receiving. And from this place, you will start opening to receive. And it was just during COVID that I moved, and I just moved into a house, got COVID, had to stay in for 3 weeks. So my neighbors, whom I did not know at that time, were coming with food, washing my clothes, doing all those things for me. And it hurt me physically to receive that from them at that time. But I knew that that was the way I had to move through it. I just had to start receiving. And it was really interesting because I was living before that in a place here in Denmark where I wished I had all those things. Like, I was starting with my business. I had hoped it'd be a certain way. I had hoped I had a partner, all those things. And it was not like that at that point. Though my God said it's definitely going to be like that. Just keep on moving, start opening up, start working with the goddesses. And I can say now, 5 years later, I'm back in the same area I didn't know. And I had the partner, I had the thriving business now, but I had to go all this way around. I had to have all these experiences to really harness it, to really be able to be the person who could receive that. So it's not because what I did then was a failure and what I'm doing now is a success. Not at all. Not at all. It's just the soul's journey of discovering itself and its ability to create. And also seeing at that time all the, like, the victim, the shame, like holding my feminine energy back was just so active within me. And I simply had to release those in order to embody that goddess energy. So I will really I will say that the wounded divine feminine is the one that really does not allow herself to receive, that put herself in the back, like prioritize herself less, does not allow herself to have pleasure. Pleasure is such an important part of fueling the divine feminine energy because it's a connection to all of the body, the whole body. Every part of the body is really important for the divine feminine, and really taking it in, taking our own body in, our own pleasure in within the body.
That's like, it's so true. I think this is the thing. It's like, it's so true. I know it's so true for so many women. Because again, we live in a society that conditions us to think a certain way, to be like, oh, I'm not worthy of that, or oh, that's too selfish of me, and really pushing away the things that are really coming to us, right? We need to start really believing and trusting the things that are coming to us, that is really for us. And yes, sometimes when we receive things that come to us, it's not necessarily, there might be a lesson in that, like some of it might be a test, to be completely honest. But really, like, we need to start trusting what is coming to us, and really allowing our bodies to receive. So, one of the obstacles that come into the way of, not allowing our bodies to receive is our minds, our thoughts. What are some tools that you have used to really block the ego from getting in the way of us receiving?
Yeah, and it's such an interesting it's a really interesting theme, because what I've learned is, for me, a lot of my work has been actually about getting the energy and the higher energies into the sacral and the root chakra, which is like things we might not think of as women as super important. We often focus on the higher chakras, but that, my guides always say, an overactive mind is an underactive sacral. And that is so powerful when we start to realize that is like we squeeze a balloon and we squeeze it in the bottom, it pops up in the upper part, right? There's a lot of thoughts going on. We try to figure things out, But when we allow our high energy, and it's not a quick fix, it's really not just about, oh, now I'm back. It's like really a journey of allowing ourselves to move through the layers of conditioning we have around our sexuality and reproduction and our own body. There can be a lot of shame coming up. But really, when we allow ourselves to come in and feel those higher energies, that this is our body. It's pure, it's innocent, it's divine, it's perfect, it's a goddess. We can use it for whatever we want to. If it's run and play, that's what we want to do, then we can do that. When we allow those energies to come back, we also feel safe in our body and our mind starts to quiet down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I learned, because I've also been in those loops of the mind, right? The more fear there is, the more stress there is, the faster they run those spirals. And I have also been reprogramming my thoughts. And I think it works to a great extent, but I see that there is this connection that we as women need to understand. I think for many would also say that men are less active if they're more present within their lower chakras. They feel more grounded, right? They feel more at peace. They don't feel like they're haunted all the time, that there are people that are like, can be scary to them or whatever it is.
More men are becoming like awakening to is, you know, being grounded in their feelings. Because I really do believe a strong, like, masculine leader, he is tapped into his intuition. Yeah, he'll use his logic when, you know, he's called to do that, but he still has this aspect of himself that where he is relying on his intuition, and he is not relying on it, but at least in tune with his intuition and listening to that feeling, and is grounded. I mean, grounding, it's so important for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And, you know, like you too, you know, when I was introduced to chakras and all of that, I was so focused on the higher chakras, the crown, you know, the third eye chakra, the throat chakra. But, you know, I did all of this work around those three chakras, but I soon, you know, actually not soon, really recently, I became more aware that, you know, what I really did have to work on is my root and my sacral, right? The grounding chakras, the ones that are really in tune with the feeling. And I think also it has to do with my past lives too. I think in my past lives, I've really focused on activating those higher chakras. And part of the purpose of me reincarnating in this lifetime, especially as a woman, is to really get more into tune with those other chakras, those more rooted and grounded chakras. And so, you know, one of the things that I think a lot of women want to know is, you know, how do we start to embody the divine feminine, especially if we need to do more, you know, root and sacral work? What does that really look like? You've gone to the retreats, sat in ceremonies, even worked with healers, and now you've been told that it's your turn to do the work. Well, this is that next step. I'm so excited to share with y'all that this year we have our first Transformation to Expansion event on September 9th, 2025, where we will be in ceremony together, releasing all the things that are blocking us from truly transforming into the new version of ourselves. So you can really go into 2026 as the new you and stop holding back. This is going to be a really powerful activation, y'all. I really don't want y'all to miss it. If you're one of the first 15 people to sign up, your ticket is completely free. So make sure to check the link in the description below for the link to the ticket for this event. I cannot wait to see y'all there. I love y'all so much.
Yeah, and I would say with the root and sacral, I would just guide on focusing in, even just pay attention on it during meditation and see what is there. And know that when your own pure essence or frequency is vibrating there won't be any of all those traumas. I know many experience trauma. Luckily, it's less common now, but our parents' generation, there were many women who experienced a lot of trauma very, very early in life, maybe even from childhood. So I see we are moving through that. But really knowing that the moment you vibrate your own, you're whole. You're whole and complete. All the traumas are released. And I definitely see that, as you just said, with earlier lifetimes be more focused on the upper. And I see it actually as a very recent opportunity here on earth, a possibility that we can now have those higher energies in the lower chakra. And that's why many are called to like doing it one step at a time, here, now, in this time. Because when we are in those, that's when we ground in the experience of feeling safe on earth as a feminine being. And that is something, if we look back, it has not experienced on earth for a long time. And then that is something new we experience as we raise vibration on earth, that we can be that. And I see it from many light workers, they feel in their first years they do not feel home on earth, they do not feel safe on earth. Some even feel like, oh, will someone come and pick me up and take me back home, right? And but when we open up those energies in our root and sacral, we can feel, oh, but I'm also home on earth. It is also my vibration. This is also an aspect of me. So what I will say, if you want to awaken the divine feminine, so I have included the gift with the goddess challenge, and I say that is one way, that is the way I started, that is opening to the different aspects of the goddesses. So how they're guiding, those were channeled message that came through when I just started, and they just shared a message, each of them, about how to awaken their aspect within us, within me. And that was so powerful because each of them, as I shared in the beginning with Aphrodite, she holds a very strong aspect of love and falling in love. But there are many others, they hold different perspective. Like Artemis, the Greek goddess, she was a hunter and she was just roaming around all day doing what she loved. She was just doing what she loved. And that is the energy of the playful child, right? But also the wild woman, the nature woman. She loved just to run around in the forest. And she had like many nymphs that were taking care of her needs. So she was not doing any like housework at all. She was just able to take care of that. So embodying those different frequencies. There are many, many goddesses. I'm sure many of the listeners will know Isis or Hathor, the Egyptian goddesses, or also Pachamama. You can say she's a goddess too, with a nature energy. So there are many different that they can tap in with, and that has been one of my ways to awaken the feminine energy, and also just become aware of what are the qualities of the feminine. Receiving, even if it's difficult. How often have we not said, no, 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 I don't need it, no, 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 don't, like, because we might think, what should I give back? I have nothing to give back, or then I have to start thinking about what to give back, or whatever it is. So really allowing ourselves to receive, and also start listening to the intuition, and see what is there.
Feeling at home on earth as a woman. That's one thing I feel like I'm still struggling, with. And I think some could say I'm choosing to struggle with it, but I know I'm not alone in this, because there's some environments on earth which I don't necessarily know if it really is the safest, for women to be in. But I know it is so important to at least have that experience at some point in your life if you are a woman or identify as a woman. It's part of this experience. I feel like it's part of the experience of a woman. But I feel like right now, because of the systems that have been built, that are the constructs that we are exposed to as women, it's a little bit of a challenge. I think it's a lot easier to, as a man, to be like, oh, I can ground on earth. But as a woman, I feel like there's just some places I you can say I've been taught to not feel safe in those environments, but it's a challenge to feel like, oh no, I feel at home, I feel safe right now. How can we start to lean into that feeling of, I'm on earth and I'm safe, and I can be grounded, I can be safe as a woman here on earth?
Yeah, I love that you're sharing that. And I think it's more of a common experience than fear, than like just.
Hey y'all, did your vibration get a serious boost from this week's podcast? I know mine did. And I'm willing to bet there's a whole community that also feels the same way. Wait, actually, there is a whole community. That's right. On Facebook, we now have the Transformation to Expansion community where we actually have weekly discussions about the podcast episodes, and we even try out the freebies all together as a community to help us stay accountable. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below, and I'll see y'all there. Peace.
Specific to only a few. And I think that is like, yeah, that's a part of what we're here for, right? Balance in the masculine and feminine within us and in the collective. And from there, I also shared that the newer generation might not even distinguish between men and women and all that. But we need to balance it first. That's what my guides always say. You can't just jump straight there, build it on a beautiful foundation of oneness. So what I see about the fear is it is as long as we think we're not creating. And I mean, I can slip into that too, get into a place where the fear vibrations start to become active within me. But we need to realize as creative beings, when we start to vibrate safety, that is what we will get. We will start drawing those experiences in. You will feel, no, that place is not resonant for me. I won't go there. Oh no, not in a million years. Over here feels good. And you will start feeling that those that come to you are the ones that really honor your body, your being, everything about you, so you don't have to be defensive. So that's really what I've also seen in my own journey. And the thing is, we just need to trust it in the process. And allow it. And I mean, when we are starting to feel safe, that will of course be at home first and in those settings where we start working with the energies in our bodies. And from there start moving out and see what happens. But I also see that we might have experience that trigger the fear, but then we might see that, oh, but it was actually not scary because we start drawing in different experience. So it might first seem scary, but then we realize, oh, there was nothing in it. It was like an experience that just passed by so fast and nothing happened. So it's like we become stronger and stronger creators of that peace vibration and that safety vibration. And I think that is one of the most powerful things we can also do for humanity and for the new children that's coming in, is to allow that energy of safety to be created within our bodies.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the nail. There was a friend of mine who I traveled with from, where is she from? Poland. I think she's from Poland. And yeah, when I traveled with her, I think she did exactly what you said. She really had this mindset, really beautiful mindset of just safety. And anyway, so I had, the only time I hitchhiked was with her, and we were in Thailand. And I asked her one time, I was like, how do you have this mindset that you can just hitchhike? Because I was like, otherwise I would never, no, not in a different country. But she was just like, her mindset, she literally told me, she was like, who would let a poor little girl alone on the street? And I was like, whoa, like that's just not the mindset that I had. Cause she had hitchhiked all throughout Europe too. And it's, you hit on the nail. It's really about safety. And her mindset was like, everybody's going to be concerned for me. So whoever picked, and she would be picked up by families, by people who I feel like in the States, you would never hear of a family picking up a stranger, even if it was a woman, they would never, you know? Mm. But again, because of her mindset, because she had this mindset of exuding safety and love, really, she was able to attract that. And so I learned a lot from her. And even then she, I have to message her, because one of the things that I've experienced traveling was I did get robbed when I was traveling. There was so much context about this. You know, I was traveling during COVID, so you know it was a different time. I think a lot of people were in scarcity around that time, and so. But anyway, she happened to go to Colombia a couple years after me, and she got robbed. And I don't know. When you said this, it just reminded me that I was like, I need to hit her up and see how that was, because I'm sure the way that I had experienced that in my life was very different from how she experienced it. You know, I have a feeling that she got robbed, then she laughed it off, and I think she continued to travel. Whereas me, it was a huge like awakening moment for me. I was like crying, like, cause I had invested all of this money and equipment and all of this stuff that just got taken from me, you know, probably like 2 months after I purchased some of that stuff. And I just felt like my whole life was like taken, because I had all my whole life in a backpack basically. And it was just it was a big lesson for me. It was not fun. It was not fun at all. I won't, I don't even want to really get into it, but it was just not a fun experience. But again, I think that mindset is so important. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. And now I'm really trying to, it's hard, but it's not an easy process, but I'm really trying to rewire my brain to really align with the world and the experiences that I would like to have. But that being said, I feel that it's really important for people to recognize that our minds are so powerful. Our minds are so powerful. And if we know how to, I don't want to say take back control, but it's more like once we know how to shift our mindsets to really align with the world that we would like to experience, it's important to know that we have that ability, and it's important to know that we can have that shift. We can see and experience that shift and really shift into a world of love. And so, you talk about how you work with Aphrodite a lot. She is like the goddess of beauty and love and abundance. How can more women embody that energy of beauty and love and abundance and really learn from Aphrodite?
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for that question. Also, I want to say what you just shared was also powerful, the thing about the experience with while traveling, because I think that is it reminded me of a friend who shared that she and her partner had that experience, and she was really triggered and was so afraid and carried it in her mind. And her partner was saying after, but I felt they would never really going to harm us anyway. And he had just asked, can I keep this? And some of it he had negotiated with the robbers, and they let him keep the thing. And he was like, I just knew they wouldn't do anything to us. And that was like, what is the energy in it? And you can say, there is really no right and wrong way to go about this. The point we don't blame ourselves for these experiences, because then it just becomes extra tight notch, or yeah. So about the embodiment. So as I said, I shared the gift that comes with this podcast, where there is a daily message for 14 days with the goddesses, and one of them is Aphrodite. I can't remember which day she's on, where she shares her guidance about how to bring that energy into the body and how they do that. I did not know that was how they were doing that when I started channeling them, but they're starting calling you by their name. So they say Aphrodite, and they're calling that aspect forward, and they're doing that with the different goddesses. And I think that was also what they shared with me when I first started channeling them. I am Aphrodite. And that energy in itself holds codes and light codes, and see yourself as that goddess. And if you go for a day and you're Aphrodite for a day, then you will start feel those energies awakening within you, and really allow that. And also know that a lot of what we learned about beauty and right and wrong, it's simply just conditioned. And we also see it when we travel, that there are a whole lot of beauty standards, so clothes or whatever. It's like what we thought was cool back home might not be cool at all in this other place, or something else, right? So we start to take that a little more, like a little less serious about what beauty is. You are beautiful just because you are, and that's it.
So, have you ever felt like you're meant for more? You're here for a reason. Something inside of you knows that there's more. There's more purpose. There's more connection. There's more fulfillment. There's more love to be enjoyed in this life. What if all of that was here right now? Your life easier to navigate. Your dreams easier to manifest. You can live in a life of ease, even in these uncertain times with Pluto being in Aquarius. Your community of expansion is right here at your fingertips. From the moment you enter, you feel the sense of release and comfort. No more wondering if all those downloads you got as a kid were just random thoughts. No more wondering that time you had telepathy, thinking that it was just a fluke. Be with the people you know are here for you. Join our ever-expanding community on Patreon for free. And for those of you who ask, yes, the Wellness Library is included. I love y'all so much. Let's get back to the show. Peace.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Earth. Oh my God, I love that. You go to a completely, like, I love it. I love it. It's so freeing. It's one of my favorite parts about traveling to. It's a crazy example, but when I went to Brazil, one of the things that I absolutely loved is that you go to the beach, everybody, no matter what body type you are, no matter how old you are, everybody's in a bikini. Everybody's in a bikini, and I'm telling you, the grandmas and the moms, they're in thong bikinis too, and they don't care. Like they just want to get their butt tan. That's it. You know, it's not about like, you know, it's not about showing off or anything. They just want to make sure the sun is reaching every part of their body. That's it. That's literally it. But I love it. I love it because I think every woman should, especially if you're coming from a Western society, everyone should go to the Caribbean or to Latin America or South America. Because it's like, and it's not even just a celebration of all bodies. It's just like, nobody cares. Like, it's just a body. Like, it's, you know, it's not a big deal. Like, it's so beautiful and empowering. And it's just like, because I feel like in the Western like cultures, there's so much body shaming, you know, there's so much shaming around, if your body isn't aligned with mainstream. And we've gotten like so much better about that, I think, compared to like when I was in high school and stuff. We've gotten so much better about it. If you want to go out in your bikini and you don't have the, you know, Victoria swimsuit model body, you know, then people in the West are like, oh, I guess I have to wear a one piece. And it's like, no, just wear the bikini. Like, come on now, you know. But that's one thing I do love about Earth, though, is that, you know, you can, if you really travel and see the different aspects of Earth, you can really be put in a completely different environment that really can empower you and to really raise your vibration, allow you to be like the best version of yourself. Or really, maybe it's not even just that, it's just experience what it's like to be this new version of yourself, so you can also bring that back home with you if you want. That confidence, really, right? And also I wanted to say this too, y'all, make sure to check out that freebie. It's links in the description below. I just want to let you guys know that too. That is like really great wisdom to have that I think a lot of people don't have access to. But what do some of these goddesses have to say about confidence and building confidence? How can we build confidence working with the divine feminine?
I love that. I also love what you just shared about Brazil. I was there too many years ago, and I was just like, I love that part too. It's like you just adapt. So it's like 5 minutes on a beach, and you're like, give me the smallest song you have. I want that too.
I love it.
That's really funny. Yeah. Okay, so what they say about confidence is we really have it. So what we need to is to get rid of what is like blocking it, where you can say all the beliefs. You just said it so well with all the things we learn about our bodies. And also, like, they say there's a lot of hard bodies, like pumped, but women, female bodies, like going to the gym, all those things. And it might not be how the body actually want to look. For some it is, for many it isn't. For many, the feminine energy is more in the softness. It's more in that energy. So feel into whatever resonates for you, for each and everyone listening to this. But just knowing that it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that is the right way to look, or that is even healthy. It can be that there are other ways your body want to look for better self-expression of its true essence. And it might be something in between what you're experiencing, but they're just saying, don't just go into seeing something and thinking that is the right way and that is how I should look. Feel into what is it for you? What is your specific best way to go about your own body? Like, and I believe that's where the confidence is. Like when we were children, we did not even think for a moment that our body could be wrong when we were small children. And that was when we had the confidence. We loved our body to like jump around and skip around. And it was just like, great body. This is a great body. I mean, it can jump, it can wave, it can, whatever was like our success criteria. I don't know if you've ever seen this video with like small kids where they ask, if you could change one thing about your body, what would you change? And all the kids say something like, I would want a mermaid's tail, or I want shark's teeth.
I love that.
Or I want angel wings. Yeah, I wanted to be a dolphin, or I wanted to like furry ears. And that was so funny. And they ask adults the same, and they would be like, "Oh, I wanted straight teeth and like slim body." And that was so. It's so conditioned. So if we can get into that innocence that we all have, we still have it. We can just let go of what's holding it back, be more in our joy, allow that. Then that the confidence is right there with all that good stuff.
I love that, being more in your joy. I think, um, yeah, that's like it's really a key to really be in happiness. Sometimes we're not always in the environments that can give us the most happiness. You know, so people who are in environments that don't give them joy, how can they navigate that? How can they bring in more joy into their life?
Find those little moments that brings joy, and also maybe just create those moments, whether it is drinking a cup of tea or going and look at your favorite tree or whatever it is. And I remember a time in my life where what I was just starting to really tap into the gratitude, and I was like, oh, what can I be grateful? I'm grateful for like the walls in my house, and that was basically it. But then I started from there because I could not feel it. So but then I started working my way up to having more and more things to be grateful for. And in that lies and like an innate joy. Also just spend time in nature, really allow that. But I also know that if you're in really deep depression, some of those things that brings you joy can bring you through difficulties. Like it feels like tension first, or feels more sad or difficult to take in. Then just see peace as your next step, and not go directly to joy. Go to peace and see what can I do. Light a candle, look in the candle, or whatever it is. In so many beautiful ways. And now you're just asking, expanding, because I know that some are also contracting. And I believe that there are different journeys, but I know that your listeners are on the path of expansion. So I see that we are becoming more and more confident that all we need to be is who we are, our divine self, and let go of all the conditioning or the things we believe we have to. So I really see that as our expansion. And from there is like creativity unleashed. Like, because we feel worthy of bringing in our dreams, right? Then we will just allow it to flow through without like stopping our own dreams, or like hiding from our own greatness.
Well, thank you so much, Matilda, for being on the show today. We learned so much from you. Yeah, it was a wonderful. Do you have any last words to say before we head out?
I just want to say thank you. It was such a beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed it. I'm so grateful that I get to connect with you and the listeners. It's just such a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was such a gift to have you on. We learned so much today about the divine feminine. I'm so excited to apply the knowledge and wisdom that you shared with us today into my own life. And I know a lot of the audience is really excited to apply that too. So like I said, y'all, in the link in the description below, you can get in touch with Matilda, and she has her freebie, which gets you access to the wisdom of the goddesses. And I already know I'm going to be looking at that right after this show. So y'all make sure to check it out, and I will see y'all next week. As always, I love y'all so much. Peace.